Hey everybody, greetings from the mountain. We've heard that y'all have a ton of questions, so Suzette and I thought that we would do a Q&A and be able to answer those questions as best as possible.
So Melissa, let's recap what happened.
Yeah, so Hurricane Helene was making her way towards Florida, and we were watching it and just thinking that we were going to get a ton of rain. And so that was Thursday night into Friday morning. And on Friday, we were actually just kind of preparing for a lot of rain. We were going to have over 350 guests here with 2 different groups, and just had prepared them for, hey, we might have just a lot of rain, a little bit of power, but we'll be back up and running pretty quickly, is what we thought.
Yeah, and then I think when the storm hit, the generators blew.
Yeah, so then the storm rolled in. We lost power about 3 in the morning, and about 6 in the morning, I got a call from Brent Haddis, our VP of Operations, and said, "Hey, making my way down. It seems like it's raining a lot." And I was like, "Okay." So he came down, and then I came down. What we realized was a tree had fallen onto Weatherford. The creek had crested at Weatherford Hall. And then made our way into the Blue Ridge Center, and we definitely were already running on the generator. And that was about 6:30 in the morning. And then the creeks were rising on that west side of campus in front of the old gym, but weren't too bad just yet. So we were just kind of watching those. Brent had gone up to his house and then actually couldn't make his way back down. And so was down trying to make sure that the guests in the buildings were good. And then really what happened over the next few hours was the rain continued, the wind continued. And that's where you could hear kind of the trees cracking and things just really starting to move down the campus. And that's when the devastation started.
And I was in Weatherford. I get a call from you that says the trees have fallen on the building. We have guests in there, probably around 40 men. And she said, we can't evacuate.
Yep.
It's too high. We need to make sure that they stay where they are. And so we stayed there and until we could get out. And then once we were able to get out and the rain subsided, then we could really see what happened with the property and what was continuing to happen, because there was only a big river in the middle of campus, and we were having now to work with a Swift Mud team, a water team from the fire department, to get the 40 people that were in Asheville out. And then we found out that we had a cabin go down as well.
Yeah. So water's moving pretty swiftly, which isn't a big deal here until you have trees. And once you have trees that are topped, and then they get in the creek and they start moving down with the water, and that's when we started to have more significant damage, right? So then the water's crested the road in front of the old gym by Eureka Hall. It crested between Asheville and the Blue Ridge Center in Washburn right there. And then all of a sudden we saw the trees and the Asheville Hall Bridge just come through, right? It just came through right by the, what people know as the Region Room, right, in the Blue Ridge Center. We could just watch it kind of go by. And then at the same time on that east side of Blue Ridge Center, which is by Weatherford Hall, that water was just moving so fast, so we couldn't have anyone outside. And about 1:30 or 2 o'clock, the rain subsided, and we were really able to walk outside and see what happened. And what happened was we have a beautiful new river, would be my bright spot. My sad pieces are going to be that we've got significant damage to the old gym. We completely lost Ware Cottage. It is just a pile of rubble with 2 cars underneath it. Thankfully, all the 6 people that were there are safe, right? And so we're so grateful for that. The pool is filled with silt and 2 cars as we know it right now. The kitchen has been destroyed from water. Both of the dining halls in the 2nd floor of the Blue Ridge Center, Weatherford, lobby and kitchen areas are filled with silt as we know it. Eureka has water in the basements on either side, that east and west side, so classroom side and just storage side. What we just looked at today was a hole in the southwest corner of it, but thankfully that piece isn't structural. We're just going to need to get in pretty quickly and do some work to Eureka. So we've got some very sad things when we think about our gymnasium, and then we've got some bright spots as far as nothing as significant in Eureka Hall today. So that's it. That's a good day so far.
And I think one of the great thing is that we were able to get our staff out. When you look at just the dynamics of everything, we had no power, no water, no food, and we had 30 staff that were living in the dorm. And so luckily we were able to reach out volunteers, really from Leader School. Matt Lewis, Michael Hearn, Steve Bowers drove up to do a test drive to see if they could get a bus up here from the Gadsden Y to take our staff to Camp Thunderbird, and it was wonderful. So the first delivery of water was that Sunday night, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, they made it through, they made it home, and the bus came the next day. And
I think what's exciting is the partnerships that happen.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to lean towards the bright side, but the partnerships that happen within the YMCA world, right? So
Absolutely.
the YMCA, the Gaston County Family YMCA, driving the buslets up, the YMCA of Greater Charlotte saying they can either come to Harrison, actually, let's get them to Thunderbird, it's closer to the airport. The Y of the Rockies reaching out from Estes Park, Colorado, saying, what can we do to help? Hey, we will offer jobs to all your staff. And then we're going to help them get there. And so to know that the staff left, like it was just a sigh of relief to know that they were safe, and had showers and electricity, which I'm jealous of right now. And then that they had the opportunity to go work for another YMCA great location is just huge gratitude for that. So thank you for providing all of that. But the Y family has just stood so strong immediately, and they continue to.
And then YUSA was up here this week
Yeah.
as well, just assessing and helping us as far as what we might need to do with media. They were able to get a television station up here to interview Melissa, which was huge for us. Black Mountain and Swannanoa, the communities that are surrounding us, the damage is devastating. And so being able to be the focus just for a little bit to make sure that people knew about it, because it took a couple of days before people really realized what had happened to the area. And then once we were able to evaluate that, then we've had services come in. But it's been a little bit, and it's really been humbling. But when you look at what we've been through, and our staff are safe, and the remaining staff that are here are safe, that is a big bright spot.
It is.
It's a huge bright spot.
Yeah, so the staff that have chosen to remain on campus is myself and Brent in operations, and Suzette's here too with us. And then we have 5 maintenance staff, the men of maintenance, as I call them, and their families. So we're here for now just to be boots on the ground and help move everything forward. I want to get back to what Suzette said with YUSA and really pick up and pull in the North Carolina Alliance of
Yes.
YMCAs. And so when YUSA came in, not only did they bring smiles and supplies for us, but just the connections, right? So here's a consideration for navigating FEMA. Here's some things around insurance. Here's some things you need to think through around staffing. Here's the things you need to think through around your priorities, right? And property development. And so to be able to have that thoughtfulness, and to think through things with us was tremendous. And then we had a second person come in yesterday because she was close and she loves it. And so she just wanted to check. The other amazing conversation was with the Alliance team and YMCA saying, okay, if you are going to be not able to serve guests and impact lives, then what does that look like for your staff? And so how are we repurposing staff in other YMCAs? And to have that offer for temporary employment for our staff is tremendous. Really, really grateful for that.
Well, I think anytime that you get a storm or something as devastating or as catastrophic as this, having people come in and help us think through things, because we were not thinking as clearly as we wanted to think, and or that what was next. It was a lot of devastation.
Yeah.
So that was a really great thing for us just to be able to reach out and have people come. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
All we've had to do is ask.
Yeah. Well, sometimes not even asking, it's
They're
been
there.
amazing. They've shown up.
Yes.
And I think that's the amazing power when I think about Blue Ridge and I think about the YMCA is just that leaning in to help. And so, we talked about we weren't thinking that way. And I know one of the questions might be, well, what are your priorities? And so when this hit and we were able to kind of come outside because the skies cleared and it was pretty, but things were still moving. These were the priorities. The first one is that we had to divert the water, right? We had to get the water back into the creeks. We had to stabilize the buildings, right? And then we needed to prioritize the buildings that we were going to stabilize. And so we're stabilizing the Blue Ridge Center, Weatherford Hall, Eureka, and Heaton Hall. So those are the first four, and then we're going to move out from those buildings. So first, redirecting of the water. The second one is stabilize the buildings. The third one is we lost over 20 feet of pipe for water. So we have no water on the campus right now. So we've got to repair that water line, and we had to test all the wells. And then the fourth priority is power. We've got to get the power lines. We lost all the power poles that are coming up the center, and so we've got to get power back on the campus.
And I think being able to start on the east side, because we had some lodges that didn't have damage. Brazil ended up making it through, Lutz Lodge, McCarty, Hibbard, and Barnhart. So being able to look at the east side first before we tackled the west, I think was really part of our whole strategy to make sure that we could at least have half of the campus up and running before.
Right.
Although we're not stopping the stabilization on the other side, it still would be able to show us some movement and stabilization on the east side.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And I think the other thing from here is that it's going to be a while. We're working as hard as we can to bring Blue Ridge back.
One of the things that we wanted to do very quickly was to reach out to our groups between now, right? We actually were scheduled to have groups come in on Sunday after we evacuated the 300 people over very quickly on Friday, Saturday, but then started to look ahead and said, okay, we need to cancel groups through the end of the year. And then really as we looked out, we had YMCA Campfire Conference and a few others coming in and we're like, oh no, we need to let them know now. And so to be proactive, we've actually canceled all of our groups through the end of February 2025. And so that's where we are today. And I would tell you that it's important for the weekly updates because those are going to give us new timelines as we move forward.
We're just so grateful for everything that people have done so far. We're telling this story, and for the donations that we have received, it's going to take a while, and we're not sure yet how we need to do that. It's probably 4 to 6 weeks before we can really assess the entire project and then figure out what FEMA will do, what insurance will do, what we'll be able to do with fundraising. So it's coming, but we just don't have a clear picture yet, but we're working on that. So again, we're just so grateful for what everybody has done, and you've given us hope. And I think that's been the biggest thing because we're here. It almost feels like we're on an island where there's no electricity, no water. But it's been the highlight of our days when we're hearing from people and when we do get Wi-Fi. That's been we were having to go out and park on 40 or go into Swananoa to even use our cell phones. So we're getting Starlink set up, and so we will be able to communicate more and more as the days go by. But I do have to say, Melissa and the board of directors have done an amazing job at just kind of line it. I actually am living with Melissa right now because Weatherford is not in a place where I can stay anymore. But every night you are sending messages to the board so Karen can give them updates. So we can go out. We just feel as much information as we can get out to people is going to be better. And our board has done an amazing job. And so have you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So have you. Put up with me as something. So Suzette talked about a 4 week kind of assessment, and that's really where we are. And she alluded to not sure when we're going to reopen, and I can't tell you a date, right? And so it's that delicate balance of giving hope and giving false hope. And so that's where we're kind of navigating that. And so what I know is that things are changing every day. And I also believe that we are looking at a phased opening of Blue Ridge. And so as we're able to bring buildings and facilities online and it's safe, that we look forward to welcoming people back. But until then, we're going to continue to provide updates to our family. That's off the campus is what we'll end up doing. So this restoration is really going to be it's a marathon, and I would say I use the term now. It's an ultra. We are in an ultra race right now, and so it is going to be slow and steady as we move forward. So storm hit on Friday. Shell shock, really complete shell shock for us on staff. Been here 28 years, never seen a storm like this come rolling through the way that it did. And so then it was like, okay, who calls who? And so we divided it up amongst myself, Brent Haddis, and Philip Day, our maintenance director. We called a friend who works for First On Site. They come with the Bannerman Family Dance Camp.
Yeah.
And so we called them, and then they showed up. They showed up like the next day to do an initial assessment, and were able to bring in trucks the day after that, right? We reached out to T&K Utilities, to Wendell and Taylor, and I reached out and said, hey, we're locked in. We've lost bridges and roads. Can you please get here? Sent that Sunday. Monday night, they were here walking campus. They rolled in with trucks on Tuesday morning. We called our contractor and said, hey, we need help. As soon as he got past his two bridges were out, he was here on site. Our land planner, who was in Charlotte because he evacuated, drove in on Monday afternoon to see the site with us. And so they have made all of their calls to actually come out here. And so it looks drastically different 7 days today than it did 7 days ago. And it's been amazing. And again, Suzette spoke to the power of our board. Our board Karen's done a phenomenal job in setting up committees and what they're doing. And we've been saying, okay, we need this, we need this, we need this with our supply list. And the Blue Ridge family is sending us those supplies as well as other things because the board has prepared it to come in. And so it's been incredible. It really has, to see the power of I would say connections and network, and those who love this place and know that it's more than a place, right? It's more than that. So we are. I'm going to get teary and grateful.
Well, and I think the other thing that we've got so much work that's been done, but there's still so much work to do.
Yeah.
I think it is like it's an inch on a mile,
Yeah.
like you said, and it is an ultra. It's no longer 26; it's 50 miles.
Yeah.
And so we're grateful because we didn't think they were going to come out as soon as they did, and because the whole Black Mountain Swannanoa community is devastated as well, and I think it just tells us the power of local has really made a difference for us.
Yeah. When we first walked out and you're looking around and you're like, all right, this is millions. This is millions of dollars. We have no water. We have no electricity. The generator's on the other side of Blue Ridge Center. That was an in-ground generator, right? So you're looking at that. You're looking at the roads being gone, the bridges being gone, the building damage, and you're like, okay, this is multi-millions. And so then as staff, we started looking around and we said 20 to 25 million. And that was the first number that we gave to the board. And as we've moved through this week and dirt has been moved and our resources have come in to walk beside us, we've been told it could be closer to 50. And I think that's why so that's daunting, right? When you think of 25 to 50 million, those are big numbers for YMCA Blue Ridge Assembly. And so we don't know. We don't know just yet, and I think that's why it's so important over these next 4 weeks that we really spend the time doing our due diligence and really working with all of our partners to hone in our numbers and really figure out what does Blue Ridge of the future look like. Right? If you heard me talk before, I talk about that core of campus and that we're going to renovate and revitalize it. And now we might have an opportunity to reimagine. And so I think that's where we sit today, is what does the Blue Ridge of the future look like so that we're constantly serving more and impacting more lives.
Well, I think a great example of that, if our roads were narrow, we have an opportunity to make them larger or wider where we need to, but it is allowing us to just dream a little bit. You know, whether or not that happens, it's going to be, our roads may not be in the same place based
Right.
on what it is, and we may have to move some things and change some things, but we know that this has been around for over 100 years, and we know the integrity. We know what the place is about and why people love it, and then why we do the programs that we do. And that's not leaving. That's
Right.
not changing.
Right. The foundation of who we are doesn't change. We might just have a new water feature.
Yeah, we might have a river now. As you might guess, this is the first of hopefully many updates that we'll be giving you. As we learn more, we're going to make sure that you know more. Please feel free to check our social media and also our website. We're going to be updating that as we get information in. And again, we're just so grateful for all of the people that have reached out to us, for the donors and everything that's been given to us so far. Thank you.